Xbox confirms its biggest booth ever at Gamescom 2024, and it lists the games we can expect to see. Very interesting, Scott. Alexander Cope over at Windows Central. On June 20th, Xbox Game Studio announced on X account that it will once again be attending the world-famous gaming convention, Gamescom, and declared it will be hosting its, and I quote, its biggest booth yet, end quote. Xbox Game Studios followed up by saying its plans to show off several upcoming titles at its booth. The games that have been announced so far are Age of Mythology Retold, Avowed, Ara, History Untold, Diablo 4, Vessel of Hatred, Diablo Immortal, that's their mobile title. Been out for, what do we figure, Scott, 2 years? What?
Oh, certainly more than that even. I'm remembering this before the 2020 issues.
Right? The Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, Tower, Board, and World of Warcraft, The War Within. These won't be the only games that Xbox has stated. It will reveal more titles at its booth over the upcoming weeks in the lead up to Gamescom 2024. Of course, Xbox will no doubt also share more information regarding the titles it announced during the Xbox Game Showcase 2024 event, and perhaps reveal new titles on top of that. For those unfamiliar, Gamescom is one of the world's largest running gaming conventions that's been annually held in Cologne, Germany since 2009. Dude, hello E3, right? Dude, it was just like E3, we got into this one, and then when's Tokyo Game Show? When's that one come up?
Right? I don't actually remember when that is, but yeah, that is one of those are the three kind of regional E3s.
Yeah, exactly. And this one is huge because AAA and indie developers and publishers flock to this event to hold booths where they present the latest information, updates, and for their upcoming games, and sometimes reveal projects that are in the pipeline. What makes Gamescom special is that the convention is open to the general public. People can buy tickets and queue up to play games that are already out or currently in development. This year's Gamescom convention will begin with an opening ceremony on August 20th, 2024, which, as tradition over here, we'll be live streaming that one. Scott, Jeff Keighley, Open Night Live is what happens there. And the event will fully commence on August 21st, 2024 until August 25th, 2024. Scott, let's break down what we got. So we have Age of Mythology Retold. Like, I'm guessing we're going to get hands-on over there at Gamescom for all these titles that we already know about, right? I think that's the biggest thing. Avowed. Are we going to see... How much are we going to see of Avowed? Do you think it's going to be a little snippet? Or is there like a full playable demo over there?
Well, I think a playable demo might be possible, but I think it's going to be something that's a lot more controlled. Given that this is just open to public, you can buy a ticket and go.
Yeah.
They're going to have to be a little careful about what kind of things they reveal and the amount of bugs and holes and issues with it, because they'll get more of a backlash. And so I'm wondering what things we will actually see. But there is another thing to consider, and that's that Xbox has totally taken this opportunity to kind of own the space of Gamescom. We just learned that PlayStation's again skipping out. Yep. Nintendo does their own thing always, the beat of their own drum. So Xbox is taking this event to kind of stamp that big mindshare moment. So they better show off some clean demos.
Yeah, they need to kind of... So they came off of Summer Game Fest just shining, right? Everybody talked about the event there and how well that showcase went, which then was followed up by the Call of Duty Direct. Which is fair, but I would have liked to... I think myself personally and a lot of others would have loved to have seen a different Direct. I think, dude, having Avowed have its own Direct, kind of like we had Starfield last year, where we got a deep dive in and a hardcore look at what we're getting into, really helped open up that game a little bit, right? I think Avowed needs that. I think they really do kind of need their own little spotlight right now to have an understanding and a deep dive and a look into what that game is. Very curious. Dude, even with no PlayStation this year, right? Will Xbox get a Game of the Year nominee?
No, that's the big question. I think time will tell, but I'm really hopeful for this year. This has been one of the strongest years, or at least strongest showings that Xbox has had in my recent memory.
Now, no mention of Indiana Jones here, which is something that is kind of... Wait a second. Like, that game is coming out soon, too, right? It's coming out later this year. I think we're gearing up for holiday season with that one. And we haven't seen all that much besides a little trailer here or there. So it'd be nice to get a little more deep dive kind of understanding of what we're getting into. The first person versus third person perspective, I guess Machine Games, so they're well known for their first person perspective on all their stuff. But it would have been nice to see more animations at an indie coming into that game going third person. It would have been nice to see that studio change it up. Dude, they could have dominated that. Hey, you know what? PlayStation hasn't had an Uncharted for years. Guess what? We have Indiana Jones. This is the OG Uncharted, right? Have your experience over here.
Tomb Raider.
Yeah, right? Yeah, absolutely. So they could have taken that spotlight, I think, a little bit further by going third person, but that's just maybe my own personal preference. We'll see how the game plays. I think the game looks cool. Scott, do you think it's a Game of the Year nomination?
I really sincerely hope so, because it has such a big name behind it. I think it is very likely, as long as Machine Games can kind of do what they can to not break the established lore or something silly like that.
Sure. So Indy's voiced by Troy Baker as well, so there's a lot of that going with the clout of that game, right? So they got some star power behind it. We'll see what happens when it all comes together. But again, with nothing coming out of PlayStation, like, okay, hold up. We have Lego Horizon Adventures, and we have Astrobot. And I'm down for Astrobot. Man, I can't wait. I think that game looks incredible. We previewed it over at Summer Game Fest, had a great time, and that game looks massive. Dude, if Astrobot wins Game of the Year, right? I'm just saying, I'm calling it right now. There's a potential that Astrobot could steal Game of the Year from Avowed, from Indiana Jones in the Great Circle. Like, what an upset that would be.
It's funny that they both kind of play on nostalgia and past IPs, and it's interesting because they could potentially pull the heartstrings and really shoot up to the top of the Game of the Year discussion.
They certainly could, and I've seen the scope of this game, dude, and it is not small. Like, I'm predicting, if I'm guessing right now, because obviously we only had small hands-on, if I'm guessing, we're probably somewhere in around the 25-hour mark to finish this game.
Okay, that's certainly healthy.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of content in here, because it showed us, like, the world map, but once you jumped into one of these worlds, dude, it was just like, all these other little planets to jump to. It was just like, wow. And then some of them are like, yo, there's a Kratos map. There's a God of War area to go to. Yeah, I'm heading there. And it was locked. I couldn't get there. But it was like, yo, there's a lot under the hood when it comes to Astrobot. I wonder how much more they can really push that game. But when you get to Xbox, like, yo, you guys better come out swinging. I hope they have new stuff to show us, too, at the showcase. I think that's the other side of it. I'm hoping they held something back, right? Everybody came off going, yo, Summer Game Fest, the best event, the best showcase there was Xbox. Hands down. It was a fantastic showcase. Dude, we saw Fable. We saw Perfect Dark. We saw a little bit. State of Decay 3. Just a little. It'll tie me over.
It still exists.
Yeah, right? Yeah, we haven't shut down the game. It's still happening. So, you know, there's a lot to show there. And then followed up by the Call of Duty Direct. It was a great showcase. What else do they have in the tank to come out swinging for the rest of the year? And then we already know about these games that are coming out. Do they have anything else up their sleeve like a Hi-Fi Rush?
Here's where you unveil the X-Bot, the competitor to Astrobot.
Oh, no way. Dude, you think we get the handheld?
Oh, that would be that would totally just blow the roof off the building there.
Wouldn't it? Like, dude, that'd be
huge.
That
would be the way, but
they put it in a glass case.
Is ready. I don't know if Xbox is ready to unveil that yet, though. That's playing a card, and they don't necessarily have to right now.
I think they do. I think they need to build that moment. Like, they're doing really well right now, looking at the end of 2024, and what they have to show us for 2025 looks incredible. I think Xbox is finally starting to reach their peak, where now they can really compete with PlayStation. I think they feel like they're back now. I think they're really building towards something. Here's a huge opportunity. Blow the roof off, dude. Get people lined up. I want the handheld. I want a dedicated Xbox handheld that I can pick up and play when my kids are on my TV and I can't get to it, right? Granted, if they're on my Xbox, I'll just kick them off. But it's one of those things, yo, you got to share. But if you can't and they're playing on the PlayStation, which they often do, then I can at least tap into my Xbox and play that way and just do the cloud. Like, they can dominate with the cloud system. Although Stadia lost. What if you had your handheld tap into the cloud and be able to download actual certain games? There's a huge opportunity here, right? Because when you take a look at the PlayStation Portal, it's a streaming device, straight up. Now, they just opened up with a new update that you can tap into Wi-Fi almost everywhere now, which is fantastic, but it's still not a Game Boy scenario, right? Or a Switch scenario.
This kind of reminds me of the Sega does what Nintendo don't kind of situation right now. Xbox may just step up and dominate everything that PlayStation traditionally has dominated in the past.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to see what Xbox has. This is their biggest booth ever. They've got to have a ton of games to show off, a ton of games for people to get hands on. The lineups are going to be massive. So
definitely.
We want to hear from you, though. ITGTV.com.